everyone, it's Jasmine. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make the flakiest, fluffiest buttermilk biscuits. They require a few simple ingredients and they're pretty easy to make, so let's get started. The term biscuits has a few different meanings around the world, but here in the US, it refers to a fluffy and flaky quick bread, more similar to a scone than a dinner roll. Since biscuits don't require any yeast, they also don't require any rising time, and you can enjoy them on their own, or you can pair them with different sweet and savory toppings. And I'll have the blog post for this recipe linked down below for the full printable recipe for you to check out. So the first thing that I did is I removed my vegan butter from the fridge, and you want to keep this in the refrigerator as long as possible and only pull it out once you're going to use it. So using a sharp knife, I'm cutting my butter into small cubes, and I'm going to place this butter into a freezer safe container, and I'm going to set this in the freezer to chill. Next, I'm going to prepare a vegan buttermilk, and this is really easy to do. You just need two simple ingredients. The first ingredient is apple cider vinegar, so we're going to add that to our measuring cup. Next, I'm adding in some non-dairy milk, and we're going to just add it until it reaches the 1 cup line. Then I'm going to just mix this together. Next, I'm just going to pop this into my freezer to chill. So I just pulled this bowl out of the freezer, and it was in there for about 10 minutes to chill. Like I mentioned earlier, the key to really flaky biscuits is to have everything very cold. So this is going to help us keep our dry ingredients chilled. So to my chilled bowl, I'm adding my dry ingredients. So we have some flour, baking powder, granulated sugar, salt, and baking soda. So now I'm just gonna give this a good mix until everything is nice and uniform. Next, I'm going to add about 3/4 of this flour mixture to the bowl of a food processor. Then I'm also going to grab my chilled butter from the freezer and add that in as well. Next, I'm going to run the food processor on high for about 30 seconds to break down the butter and create a crumb-like texture. You can also cut the butter in using a fork or a pastry blender. Simply add the butter into the flour mixture and use one of the two to cut the butter into the dry ingredients and create a breadcrumb-like mixture. I like to use the food processor simply because it's faster and it requires less work for me. Next, I'm going to take my buttermilk mixture from the freezer and take 2 tablespoons of that and set it aside for later. I'm just going to pop that in the freezer for now while I work with the rest. So using a spatula, I'm going to create a well in the middle of the flour mixture. Then I'm going to add in my chilled buttermilk. I'm going to quickly but gently mix everything together. And you don't want to overwork your dough because that will result in tough biscuits. Keep in mind that biscuit dough is not like bread dough. It's going to be slightly crumbly, but that's the texture we're going for. Next, I'm going to flour a clean work surface. I'm going to place my dough onto my work surface. So I'm forming the dough into a rough rectangle about 3/4 of an inch thick. And I'm just going to fold it over itself into thirds. I'm going to use my rolling pin now. And again, just kind of roll this out. And I'm going to fold it again into itself. And we're going to do this 3 times. You want to do this folding technique because this is going to help you get those nice layers in your biscuit. And this biscuit dough doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, it's kind of rough looking, so don't worry about that. I'm rolling my dough out until it's about 1 inch thick. So we have 2 options here. When you're making biscuits, you can literally just cut this dough right here and make square biscuits or rectangular biscuits, or you can get a biscuit cutter and make round biscuits. I have done both ways, both turn out great. I think it's just personal preference. The thing that I like about cutting it into squares is that you can literally just cut it, put it on your baking sheet, and you're done. When you cut it into circles, you're left with weird shapes all over, and you have to reform those into more biscuits. And the only thing about that is you're heating up the dough, you're reworking it, and you don't want the butter to melt. Like I mentioned earlier, the key is keeping everything nice and cold. So it's just personal preference. I'll be showing you both options today. The first is we're going to take our biscuit cutter, and when you're working with a biscuit cutter, don't press it down and twist it. You want to just get your biscuit cutter, put on your dough, press it down, lift it up, and that's it. You don't want to twist it down. I'm gently pulling it out, and I'm going to place it on my baking sheet, which I realized I forgot to take out, so 1 second. And I'm just going to cut these as close as possible. If you don't have a biscuit cutter, you can use a small bowl or a cup. Just make sure that it has straight edges. You don't want it to be curved outward, just so that the biscuit has those nice tall sides. As you can see, I have all this weirdly shaped dough. I'm just going to gently reform it into more biscuit dough. I'm gonna kind of refold it over itself. And I need to try my best here not to overwork this dough. This always gives me so much anxiety, but I'm gonna try to keep it cool for the camera today. So, I got that. I'm gonna spread it out a little more, about an inch thick. Take my biscuit cutter again. Press straight down, pull up, don't twist. And basically, I'm just going to continue doing this until I have used up all of my dough as I possibly can. If you are going to make this into squares like I mentioned before, all you need to do is I used a bench scraper for mine, but you can just take a knife and just cut the biscuits into squares or rectangles and pop those directly onto your baking sheet and you're done. That way is so much quicker and much more foolproof than using the round biscuit cutter in my opinion. Ooh, I am so ready to eat these. What is your favorite way to serve a biscuit? I feel like everybody has different preferences. I personally just like a simple buttered biscuit, but I know people like serving it with jam, serving it with gravy. There's a ton of different things that you could do. So let me know in the comments down below.
I like making sandwiches.
Sandwiches is a great idea. I totally forgot about that. So I have like random scraps and I don't like wasting these. So I am just going to kind of form them into like a random blob here. And I'm gonna bake that and then I'll be eating that. And usually if we are making these for guests, I'll just bake that and I'll have that as a little snack. All right, so the biscuits are on the baking sheet. I'm going to pop this in the freezer for about 10 minutes for them to chill. In the meantime, I'm going to preheat the oven and then I'll show you the next steps. So I just pulled my biscuits out of the freezer along with the chilled buttermilk, and I'm going to take a pastry brush and just gently brush the tops of these. Last thing to do is pop these into the oven and we're just going to bake them until they're nice and golden. All right, these biscuits are fluffy, golden. They look amazing. I cannot wait to dig into them. The last thing that I'm going to do is just take some melted vegan butter and just give them a good brush on top. Do this when they come straight out of the oven. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to eat this. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. These look so good. And this is what the biscuits turned out looking like when we cut them into rectangles. Again, super fluffy, super flaky, and just as delicious. I'm gonna let these cool just a little bit so that we can eat them, and then we'll show you the final product. I look a little different because I fixed my hair and I put some lip gloss on so we could take some Instagram photos, so I just wanted to clarify. So we have our final biscuits here. I am so excited to eat them. I'm really proud of these. It was a lot of fun putting them together, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you can try out this recipe yourself.
These are so good. Perfect for any holiday coming up that you want to enjoy them, or just to make them for fun.
Yeah.
I will probably eat all of these within the next day, maybe two.
I realize the squares are perfect for a sandwich. These are great for a breakfast sandwich, but these, like if you want to do like some deli slices in there, a cheese slice in there.
Oh my God.
So good.
Perfect.
I love the layers.
Wow. You gotta make these. So simple.
So we hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching today.
And as always, the recipe will be linked down below if you want to check that out.
And I'll have some links to other recipes that you can pair these biscuits with as well. We have a ton of fun content coming for the holidays, so stay tuned for that. And we hope you're having a great day wherever you are. So I guess we'll just see you soon.
Peace out.
Bye. How many biscuits? Yes, I did. How many biscuits? Oh, yes, I did.